It's officially 7:05. We started our meeting 5 minutes ago, but I was slow to ring the bell. So, 4-way test? Everyone know it by heart now? All right. Is it the truth?
Fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
You know, it's not fair. I asked you if you all remember it, and yet I think you all can read it. Maybe I need to change this up. But good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone today? Great. Oh, wait a minute. How's everyone today? Hey! Happy Friday! All right. Visitors. I'll save your table for last. Last. Visitors and guests.
I'm really happy to introduce Josh and Miwa Solomon, who have been the owners of Japhy's restaurant, and they're here for a special reason this morning.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And I have our social work student intern and very agency, Katie Megan, here today with us.
I have my guest, Patty Campbell, with us.
I'll start up. My daughter, interactor Marissa Mendoza. And introduce themselves.
I'm Potter, and I'm Aaron.
Hello.
Okay.
Sure. I'm Julia, and I'm outbound for next year, and then I brought my parents, Jack and Sean.
We'll be hearing from Julia shortly. And your chance, come on. You don't want to run to the front today? You don't have to do the front today if you don't want. Hey! Who are you?
Hello.
Hi, Hayes. Louder.
My name is Ace.
Thank you.
So anything else that you requested?
Oh, we'll start.
I
guess.
You came back.
Hi, I'm Carly from the Rotary Club of Eureka.
All right. So, I could ask people to talk about this, but tomorrow, who's going to charter night? Which isn't in the night, it's in the afternoon. Charter afternoon.
So, can I just get a little clarification? Did anybody who just raised their hands not reply to the email RSVP? Okay, great, good. We just have to get our count to the caterer so that we have enough food for everybody who's going to be there. Looking forward to seeing you all. It'll be at the Griffin. There'll be provided snacks and a no-host bar, and it's charter afternoon, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and then you can have your evening to go on and do whatever it is you're going to do in the evening.
And the Griffin is not 21 and over, so you're welcome for that time. So you're welcome to.
Oh, so I can go.
Okay? Good.
Not actions, but
Okay, good. Announcements! I know there's an announcement right there.
Yeah. So, from the Rotary Club of Eureka, I'm actually president-elect, so I'm going to be president of our club the same year AJ is. Woo! Yay! And we have an event coming up on March 16th. It's our friend-raiser for the year, so it's not our fundraiser, it's more the fun event that we do. It's Mardi Gras for a cause. It's going to be costume contests, lots of Mardi Gras themed games, entertainment. It's going to be a great night. It's March 16th. Tickets are only $30, so for a Rotary event, it's very affordable. You can bring your friends. I have tickets here to sell today, so if anyone's interested, I'll be here after the meeting. Awesome.
Backpacks for kids? Do we have deliverers?
We did not have deliverers, as I saw yesterday, unless somebody signed up last night and missed it. We would like to deliver the food today.
I got some room to deliver.
Testing.
Anybody
else?
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
I believe that there
Sunday the 10th. It's on Sunday the 10th. And it's at St. Mary's Levi Hall from like 4:30 or 5. It's a polenta feed for the Italian Catholic Federation. And I'm not Italian, I'm not Catholic, and this feed better be good. So it's $15 per person, so come on down if you're interested. Thanks.
You like polenta?
I love polenta.
Okay. See, we learned something about you. Other announcements. All right. History Day, still.
History Day. We're sending out a link if you're interested in being in volunteering. If you're interested in volunteering, I'm sending out a link in email. It's March 9th, and it's a really great event.
All right. So, there's a lot of different ways I could do this. And there's this lovely thing under here that says where Julia happens to be going. However, I didn't want to blow it, so that's what I did. Yay! So, instead of me blowing it, I'm going to let Julia. Because I guess that's not blowing it, that's doing it appropriately. So, Julia, would you like to come up and you can say what you would like, and I could introduce you more than that, but it's more fun to let you do it.
Drum roll. All right. So I'm going to Italy. I'm super excited. Italy was my #1 choice, so I'm super grateful and happy about that. We went down to Hillsburg for the weekend. All the other exchange students were there, Mobby and were there. It was super fun. We got to go zip lining on Saturday with everyone and got to meet everyone in our district. And then I think our next event coming up, well, there's the orientation with the parents this weekend in Fortuna, and then we're going down to a big event with, I think, most of the exchange students from states in Reno in May, I think, yeah. So I'm really excited about that.
I have another picture for you.
Yeah, this is at the zip lining place. It was awesome. It was probably one of the coldest things I've ever done in my entire life. It was, we got up at like 6 a.m. and went, and it was, we could see our breaths the entire time, which was very fun and freezing. But yeah, so that was everyone from all over. It was awesome. We got to meet everyone. I'm right here next to Jens, who's the exchange student from Italy that goes to McLeod. So it's awesome because I got to meet him a few months ago, and he kind of sold me on Italy too, so that was really exciting. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys. I have chocolate bars from C's Candies just to say thanks to everyone and just, yeah,
So while she does that, you know what's perfect about this? You're in that picture too. Yeah. So do you have anything that you would like to say? Because
you want to try to put this one in your room?
Oh no. We're gonna try this. Okay. So everybody's heard this. This thumb drive kills this machine.
That's why I always take the same. Yeah, it's a weekend. It was cold, yeah, that's true. But it also was pretty early, like 6 a.m. was too early for me. But it was a really, really fun weekend, so there you can see the picture again. Maybe I have a better picture, a bit better.
Yeah, I think you guys have to actually have the cursor show back up now.
And then,
hey, it's gonna work. Can't you tell?
Ooh, it's looking promising.
I don't know why this thing hates it.
There we go.
There we go.
It's good. That's good. Minimize it.
So weird.
Definitely
There we go.
Yeah.
Let the kid do it.
It was fun down there. We slept in a gym, and the next day we had this long day at the zip lining park place. And so there we had some fun things to do, also from Rotary. So they organized like a small challenge for us. We had to take 10 videos or pictures, and so that's one of them. Where we pick up 2 pieces of trash, and there is another one. We kissed a banana slug, and that was like harder than we were thinking. Artie really wanted, like, he was really fixed to now kiss a banana slug, but we couldn't find one, so we had to Photoshop that. That was Mommy's shop, and then we had in the shop, there was like a small shop, and they had also some stickers, and so we kissed the banana slug stickers. It was pretty fun, and then we had some other cool challenges. There was one how we would show an earthquake, and so we were all sitting on this small bench, and then we all jumped underneath the bench, but it was so small that we all hurt each other. And it was pretty fun, because in the end you can only see how Mobby drops the phone and everything is black. So that was a really fun video. Yeah, there we talked to strangers, and she was from, she could speak German. That was pretty impressive to me. And so we took a picture. And that's a really fun story. So I was in my home district, 1800. And so I went to a Rotary weekend last year. And there are like 70 exchange students within and outbound, so really a lot. So like nearly 100 people. And so I didn't see her there, but we realized on the weekend that she was in the district, and she slept in exactly the same gym when I was there. And I think we got split in groups because I knew I will go to America. And so she got the other group of American exchange students, and I was in the other group, so we passed like really close. And then last weekend we met again, and it was super fun, and it was like, how small is the world? Yeah. And so then last weekend was a prom.
See, it's not just for me, it's him too.
Hold on.
Because we can minimize it.
Oh yeah. Last weekend was prom. It was pretty exciting. It was a fun event. I liked it, and we had some fun. That's mostly about that.
All right, here it goes.
A couple of times they mentioned Rotex, and I don't think we always talk that much about Rotex. Rotex is a group of exchange students who have returned, and they form a group, and they're an invaluable asset to the Youth Exchange Committee because they've been there and they've done that, and they know all the stuff that the ups and downs the kids have gone through, and they're just really, you know, it's way different, you know, parents and folks like us telling a young person how youth exchange is going to be. It's kind of like, and we don't know because we weren't there. But these Rotex kids have been there and they've done that, and they just, usually it's a group of 8 to 10 or however many, it varies how long they stay involved with it, but they get real involved and they really invest their own time into our kids who are either here or going out. So I just want to let you know that they're there for us.
Greg, you'll appreciate this news. So, of course, as Rotary Act that has brought us a lot of members, you know, now a Rotary president in the making, and Rotex are both RI recognized organizations now, and our Rotary Act Club in 5130 is now at 12 actively participating members, and at the weekend that we had with the exchange students, they actually spent the whole day reviewing and formalizing their bylaws. They applied to both the district and Rotary International, and now they are an official Rotary Act Club of Rotex Club of Rotary International. So we're really proud of them for getting that done. It's adopted and all set. So.
Awesome.
I just wanted to say thank you for my daughter Julia. our family for letting us experience all this. We got to go to the weekend last weekend at the reveal, and it was just really brought tears. I mean, emotions, and to see, we got to see all the kids pick, get their countries and meet families, and they were so supported. She got, she feels she's going to get so much more out of this experience than just going to another country. She's going to get the Rotary experience as well, which is really valuable in her life. So thank you.
Yay. Welcome. And now you have an excuse to go to Italy.
I hope so.
All right. Normally the thank you slide means that I'm going to start doing the Rotarian of the Week, but I'm going to hold that off because thank yous are for other things too. Vanessa, would you like to explain what this thank you is for?
Well, I will. I'm going to stand on Jessica's shoulders. She wrote this nice thing for us for the Vocational Service Award. So, good morning, fellow Rotarians. I come before you today on behalf of the Vocational Service Committee. A few years ago, the Vocational Award was created with the goal of recognizing someone, or in this case, two someones, outside of our club for their Rotarian-style contributions to our community. Rotary's goal is to encourage and foster high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. For this award, the Vocational Service Committee sent out a call for nominations asking the club to recognize members from our community that exhibit high ethical standards, use their professional skills to serve the community, help young people achieve their career aspirations, and encourage others in their professional development. To that end, I invite Howard to come forward and share why he nominated Josh and Miwa. Sure. You guys want to come up too? However you're the most comfortable.
Oh, no, it's not about that.
It's really my pleasure to have nominated Josh and Miwa Solomon, who started and ran Japhy's restaurant in town. Many of you, I think most of you, no doubt, eaten there. I sometimes like to go out for lunch, and so I look for really healthy, thick soups that particularly I enjoy a Southeast Asian bent to it, Japanese or Thai or Vietnamese style soups, and at very reasonable cost, and where I can mingle with people from all walks of life here in Arcata. I see students there, both from the high school and the college, as well as middle-aged business people, and also a lot of senior citizens like to go there. So they have created an incredible service for us in our community, and it's been my pleasure to nominate them. They're telling me a little bit about themselves. They both went to HSU. Miwa is from Japan, and she came here to enroll in the nursing program. And when she arrived, she discovered they were ending the nursing program. And so she has turned adversity into an opportunity. The two of them apparently were working in Tomo's restaurant, and that's how they met each other. And they decided to open up their own restaurant. This was in 1998 that they started Japhy's. And if you go there, they're always there. They're not absentee managers. They're working with the staff, and they hire staff, a lot of students and young people, and I'm amazed at how the staff learn your names right away. So when you walk in, you've only seen a staff member once maybe, and they say hello to you with your first name, and so it's a very nice atmosphere that they've created there for us. Now they recently sold the restaurant, and after so many years of hard work, and they're going to be enjoying themselves for a while. They're going to go to Japan and visit. Miwa's family, and have a personal life, be able to reorganize the house, they were saying. But then they will be looking for work. So if you're looking for hard-working employees, you might want to bear that in mind when you start looking for jobs. So it's really my pleasure to both of you.
Thank you.
To have nominated you and that you're receiving this award.
Thank you very much.
There's more. So, Josh and Miwa, we will be making 2 donations in your name as we recognize and acknowledge the accomplishments you have made in your vocation. We also want to pay them forward to the next generation. We will be making a $250 donation in your name to the College and Career Center at Arcata High. This program serves young people making decisions about their future vocations, our next generation of workers and professionals. And then the second donation will be Jared put on to name us like a nonprofit that you support and dug up here. But,
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's really nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you is just such a fun thing to say, isn't it? So thank you. All right. On that note, my usual thank you slide. Let's see if we can. Does anybody have a guess who the Rotarian of the Week is? I haven't given you any clues yet. Did you? Yes! All right, I'm going to Las Vegas right now. Maybe you can guess after this. And so I guess instead of me explaining why, I could let her explain why, but she has to come up here to do it. So, and I'll let Joyce come up front. And you can get a gift certificate to Las Vegas.
Well,
Coming
thank
up
you.
front. Hey.
Well, first of all, I think this is an advanced thank you because I haven't done much yet. But yeah, we always apply. This matter what
I said you always do a lot.
Oh, thanks. I thought, well, you get a pity applause. That's good for you. So recognitions, there haven't been a lot of them. I'm trying to figure out a way that becomes meaningful in those ways. So the overall plan is that I got the list of the members and going to identify 5 to 7 to say, you're up. A recognition doesn't have to be a big recognition like, you know, somebody got married, somebody graduated. It's just a recognition about something in your life that you want to share with the rest of us. Big, small, whatever. But the way the plan goes is if you're not here, it's going to roll over to the next meeting. But if you don't send me anything, I'm going to just search the internet. And so I'm going to pick something, and the thing is that it may not even be about you. If you've got someone that's got your same name, then we're going to talk about that person. So I'd really rather share information about you than about some stranger. But so you'll be getting. So I guess I could search court records for you if you wanted, but that would probably be but today, that's what's happening. So be ready. Look at it's going to be from recognitions, and then if you've got a good one that you've timely send it along, and I can make you the person of the week. It's not all that official, but that's going to try to get everybody talking about something about their lives. But today, to get us all sharing, and he gave me 10 minutes, and I probably ought to use some time. Of course, I did. You're going to share amongst yourselves at the table. I'm going to keep saying 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You're going to have 6 minutes. And then we're going to, depending on how much more time I have based on President's tapping on the shoulder, we're going to have some tables share, each one share one, or we might have to randomly do that depending on if I get the hook and be done. So.
You have 8 minutes. Keep going.
All right. So ready? Everybody start sharing. Go. All right. Sharing. All right.
writing a second book.
1 minute. I mean, you have has passed. You've got 7 more minutes to talk.
They do. I see their numbers. Denver starts from 7. Denver starts from 7. So starting from 7, we'll have one down, 2 blocks in. Yeah, Denver, first Denver,
The least we can do is spice it up a little bit, make people, keep them guessing.
Swim with turtles. You're tired.
No, I will send it to Howard to send out. Oh, no, I don't. No, I got this to either yeah, I have access to that. Yeah. No. I mean, no, people send information, we would have to write off. There's been a dead, I mean, I see it, it's like, just do the Friday, because then if they send pictures, I'll get the people to put it up. But the other way, well, if they send me pictures, I'll have that's my TED Talk. I rarely speak out loud. And I talk about that. I want to structure because I had to kind of angle for free, and I skipped one and then like 12 but it made I would be able to do it for well, it's just, it's a skill, and I just, you're always talking about skills, and I just know that.
That would be good.
2-minute warning!
It's even in there, like, it'll be great.
When you're ready, ring the bell.
Yeah.
This is riveting television, I must say, by the way.
Look at this.
I'm gonna go harass people.
We were at like I
Stand up and share your.
All right. Yeah, so before Maggie came to knock on our door and threaten to help out or whatever, we made a decision, my wife and I, and then told the kids, but we're actually going to relocate. We're selling our house.
Oh.
We are moving to a condo, and as I just told everybody at the table, we had the guy from Pilecki's out yesterday to fix something on the stovetop or whatever, and we were telling him, and he's been there a few times, so he kind of knows what's going on. He goes, "Oh, you're downgrading," and we were like, "No, we're downsizing." So we're going from about 2,400 square feet to a 1,400 square foot condo over in Eureka, with our yard consists of about a 13 by 13 foot deck. And somebody else is taking care of the yard and the trees and the roof and the whole thing. So we are just...
How are we all going to fit out there?
There is a clubhouse thing, and it's right outside our front door. You're going to have to park out on Dolbear Street or whatever, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start planning in the fellowship committee thing. So anyway, it's going to happen in about a month. Steve and Amy Bonner are buying our house. They built it 14, 15 years ago, and yeah, right. Anyway.
Thank you all for sharing that. Well, we got one. We go. All right, Maggie, chair two, quick. All right. Charlie.
All right, I got to spend a week in Guatemala with the Travis Manion Foundation and 23 other individuals building a house for a homeless family in honor of my son.
One more minute. Anybody else want to share from their table? Yeah.
So I'm going tomorrow. It starts at 7, and we will go down to San Francisco, and then on Sunday we will fly to Mexico with Andreas and Jen. So my first host family for 2 weeks, and yeah, we will go surfing all the time and have some fun.
All right. One more.
Just a quick one. We Googled Ray Newell, and he's going to die at 98 in Florida.
All right.
But I will have 3 doctorates. You're going to have 3 doctorates.
All right. All right. Thank you, everybody.
I will say that's a great recognition. You know what? I'm happy to know I'm going to live till 98. Not really happy about the Florida part, but so I like when we have people to introduce that I don't really have to introduce. I could just say, "Hey, Maggie, that's you."
Some Maggie. All right. That's a great introduction. I prefer that actually.
I'll get out of your way though.
Thank you.
Oh my God, she came by my house.
Yeah, so I wanted to do a little presentation about hoarding. I'm not a complete expert. I'm working on learning more about it. And the punchline is we are putting on a conference March 8th. I've left brochures over there. So if any of you are interested in learning more, we are partnering with the county to, I got a grant from the county to do some education to start dispelling stigma around hoarding, because, you know, we joke about it, and we've seen the show The Hoarders, which is pretty authentic actually in terms of what they're seeing and what we see, but it's a disorder. It's not something people do on purpose. It's not something they enjoy. It's a very stressful thing for families. So I think we can help people more if we all learn more about it and understand it and see how we can help people. So with that, I'm going to give you some background. I was talking to Terry last week, or the week before, about slides and the misuse of PowerPoint. So I will just say that this is possibly that. But so be it. There are some, if we have time, I do have photos at the end that show you some things that, you know, that I would say are hoarding situations. But it's basically, it's finally become its own official disorder. People used to think it was if you had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, you hoarded, or, I mean, it's separate. It's a separate thing.
And it's defined as, these slides are higher than I made them, but hopefully things aren't cut up. It's defined as people have a significant amount of possessions. They have difficulty getting rid of these things. And even if they're no longer useful, and efforts made to get rid of the items and not acquire new items causes stress. So, and then there's other factors, but this is part of the official definition. And so, who hoards? We all have our sense of, we think we know who hoards, but it's everybody. And I don't mean everybody meaning all of you in this room, but it crosses all kinds of people. It's pretty much a 50-50 split between males and females. It's not just older adults. I'll talk about why older adults are in this situation a bit, but often very intelligent people. They're not lazy, they're not crazy, they're not sloppy. Generally, that's not what's happening here. It also crosses all kinds of professions. I mean, you could have judges, you can have, sorry. Whoops. Now she'll be looking at my name, I know. And there's usually a trigger. I mean, people don't just wake up one day and start to do this. It's a reaction to many triggers, usually not one, lots of losses. Most people I know in this situation, you listen to their stories, and there's a loss throughout their lives from when they were kids, and not just that, because we all have losses, but it's also, some of it is how resilient we are to cope with our losses. We all cope with our losses in different ways. People who hoard cope with their losses by collecting things to make them feel better. Some people cope with their losses by drinking, doing drugs, other things. This is a coping mechanism possibly too. And it's actually believed to be universal, not just American, even though Americans have it harder because we are taught to consume and we're encouraged to buy things. But the behavior is seen around the world. It is more common in older adults compared to younger adults, but part of that is because they've had more time to have more losses and to accumulate more things. It can start really early. You can see children, people in high school, starting to see these symptoms. And if that happens and treatment it's not addressed in a meaningful way, it just will get worse. Yeah, these slides, I don't know what you did to them. But cut off at the top. I don't know what that says.
I used your PowerPoint.
I know. Anyway, it's worse, man.
It's worse.
It's worse. So I have this. I'm going to just pull out my hard copy because I know that the titles are the most important thing, right? It's worse.
It's worse.
It's just worse. Trust me.
Good job having a backup.
Well, you know, we never know with this thing.
Did you just point at me?
No, what that says is, oops, go back. It says aging makes it worse. Okay, so because as we're aging, we have other things happen. We have multiple losses. We can have physical illnesses, disabilities that just make it hard to physically remove things. And that doesn't mean you hoard, but if you already hoard and then you start having that, it's going to just exacerbate it. And we have that natural accumulation of things over time. You know, your family members, your parents pass away, you get their stuff, you know, it just, if you're not moving it out and just moving it in, you're going to have too much stuff, even if you don't hoard. And there's these co-occurring mental health conditions. About 75% of people who hoard, who have hoarding disorder, also have another mental health condition. And the most common are major depression, social anxiety. So there's other things going on besides just the hoarding behavior. And about 20% of people who hoard also have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So it's complex. It's a disorder. It's not just about cleaning the space out. It's never about the stuff. They don't choose to live this way. They don't want to be this way, and it's the judgment that we put on them is really destructive and certainly not productive. So the mind of a person who hoards is, oh, this is scary. Sorry, guys, what he has is not what I gave him. I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying, oh.
Different versions of PowerPoint.
So, well, what's happening is the stuff that goes on there isn't there. So I have it here, but the mind of a person who, I mean, it's like most of us. We're, you know, a lot of us buy things for the adrenaline. I mean, for the endorphin rush. You know, we you know, that whole retail therapy. So people who hoard, they're looking for happiness. They're just looking for it through stuff. And they're also gaining self-worth by getting stuff. A lot of this is really common. It's extreme for people who hoard. The other thing is they see potential in every object. And this is, there's a real cute picture of a cat with a bottle cap on its head. And so this is the exercise. So you had a bottle cap, you know, like a plastic cap from like a Coke, but not a Coke bottle, well, whatever. So just take a minute and you know, talk to each other. I'm going to have to bring you back, so don't talk too long. But think about what you could do with a bottle cap. Any ideas besides putting it on a cat's head, which you'll have to imagine? Yeah. Okay. All right, so guys, give me shout outs and answers.
Wheels.
What?
Wheels.
Wheels, what else?
Drinking game.
Drinking game. That table one. What else? Any other ideas? Any other ideas?
Tiny hockey puck.
Tiny hockey puck?
Sure.
Sure, okay.
Why not?
Why not? How about a cookie cutter? Make little cookies. People who hoard tend to be very creative, and they can look at a bottle cap and they would actually save it because they might be able to use it for something. Or they'll save it because they don't want to throw it out because we don't want to waste things. We don't want to, and so that makes it really challenging, really, really challenging. So we're going back to this. That is a cat.
It's so cute.
Yes,
It is such a cute cat.
I like that cat.
I am going to send Joyce a picture of the cat with the bottle cap, so she can recognize it. We can recognize that cat next week. Trust me, it was really there. So the thing about hoarding, the other thing they're discovering is the brain works differently. People who have a serious hoarding problem, they've done functional MRIs, and how the brain lights up, where it's supposed to light up, is different when they're doing certain things. Like if they're having to deal with making decisions about their stuff, their brain overfires because it's anxiety producing. So it's not just a behavior. It's also they're seeing connections in how the brain works. And it's you can see it. It's like their brain is either overactive or underactive. So there may be things that you and I would notice that they might not see, and they may it doesn't bother them. They don't see it as a problem, or it's stuff that they're going to use. You know, I'm working with a woman right now who hoards food, and everything else she has is pretty disorganized, but it's the food issue. It's bottles and cans and everything, and that's her gig. And it's also fresh food sometimes, so things can spoil. But if she says, you know, well, I open the can, and if it's bad, I'll look at it, and you know, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, there's stuff in her house. If she ate that, she would die. But luckily, there's so much stuff in her house that she keeps buying new stuff, and hopefully, she's eating the new stuff. But meanwhile, she will not get rid of these cans. And then she also has real problem filtering with attention, difficulty focusing. I can be in there for a couple hours and I can get a lot done. She can spend a half hour standing there just kind of going here and there and being overwhelmed, not knowing where to go, or picking up an item and just focusing on cleaning that item. And she has all this stuff, oh, I'm going to clean it, I'm going to keep that, I'm going to clean it, I'm going to clean it. And that's never going to happen because it takes her an hour to clean one thing. But she has all these ideas. She's very smart. She's saving stuff to make things with. You know, that's a project, there's all these projects. It's like very creative mind. She can't categorize things. She can't figure out where to put stuff. And then she has too much of it to begin with. So it's not just, it's having too much, but also not being able to organize it in a meaningful way. And that's, a lot of this they're finding is how the brain functions. Why hoard? It's the same reason we do most of what we do in life. This is just how they focus. It's, they want to feel better. You know, they buy things to make themselves feel better. There may be a sentimental attachment. How many of you have stuff that belongs to somebody you love that you have no use for, but you keep it? They also feelings of identity. You know, you know, how many people go out and buy a fancy car because it makes them feel like they have a fancy car? You know, we all do these things. It's just the extreme. And none of those feelings last. You know, we all know if you go buy something now and you feel great about it, how many of you the next day, you know, the feeling of it is not the same. And then we all do that retail therapy to some extent, except for Bob. He's downgraded. He's downgraded. Well, you know, what was nice is that no one said it. I was thinking, well, you're moving to Eureka, so of course you're downgraded. Oh. I live in Eureka. Actually, I live in Cut. Barely. I'm on the borderline of Cut and Eureka.
I know better meth labs out there.
I hope they have the nose up in the air.
Yeah, yeah. So this also had stuff on it. They have unhelpful beliefs about their possession. They believe that they're responsible for managing these things, that they're responsible. They can't just throw these things out. They believe that they have to be perfect. They'll get it done, but it has to be done perfectly. So therefore, perfect is the enemy of done, right? And they believe that everything has a use. You don't throw stuff out. So clinical diagnosis requires not just the other things I said, but it requires that they collect a lot of things that even things that appear useless or of little value to most people. Stuff is so cluttered that they can't use the space as it was intended in their home. And that this items and this stuff causes them distress and problems in their day-to-day life. Which is true. This woman I'm working with, she's very stressed out by her stuff. She'd like to deal with it. She's having a HUD inspection today. She shouldn't pass that inspection. I've been trying to get in there to work with her. She's finally let me in little by little, and she hasn't let me into the real bad areas. So it's kind of like I'm working over here. And so, but we're building up trust. And I'm not a therapist, so I don't want to go down that road. People who have this disorder need therapy. They need a extensive long-term therapy. There's other factors that it can't be caused, their hoarding can't be caused by some other illness. And so there's a process somebody has to go through to diagnosis. So these are some of the things that are used to treat this, and what they found, this is kind of the order of what is most tolerated. Individual one-on-one, what they call cognitive behavioral therapy, which most of the therapists in our area know how to do, but most of them don't want to work with people who hoard. And I would say that I know at least 3 people who go to therapists who probably have never told their therapist that they have an issue with collecting things. So the therapist could be helping them, but it isn't focused on that issue. They're focused on the person's loss, their grief, all these other things, but they don't happen to say, and because of all these feelings, I'm self-medicating by protecting myself, surrounding myself with things that make me happy. If they said that, the therapist might be able to help them. Professional organizing, going in and helping people organize their things. Self-help books, doing some stuff one-on-one. And then this is kind of the order. The least effective thing is one of the least is what sometimes people really want to do is go in and clean it up. That's the worst possible thing that you can do for somebody who hoards. They've got to be involved. It's their stuff. It'd be like going into any of your homes and just taking your stuff away. So when you look at, they have in their house, there's no access order areas. They can't throw things away. They acquire too much. spaces filled with clutter, can't sort, organize. These are some of the things that, if you're seeing this in a loved one's family or in a loved one's home, you might be triggering. The other thing that happens is your relationship with them tends to become about the stuff. It's like you're always trying to get them to deal with their stuff, and they're always fighting you, and your relationship gets so you feel like, I can't go to mom's house, we just fight all the time, or whatever. So this is kind of the areas of things that might make you think there's some challenges there. So what are you going to do as a family member helping them? This is what you need to do. You need to educate yourself, and you need to learn more about it, and you need to check yourself and your own expectations about what is reasonable. What we look at with hoarding disorders, we talk a lot about harm reduction. Some of you are familiar with that because we use it in drug treatment, and other kinds of issues. You try to reduce the amount of harm the person is doing to themselves and others until you can maybe make inroads to improve the situation. You're not going to cure things overnight. You're not going to solve it. And people who, if you're dealing with somebody who hoards, you need to understand that it is a disorder, and that they're not going to change overnight. It's something that needs to have help, and you can support them. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to say, Mom, if you don't clean this up, I'm never going to talk to you again, because guess what's going to happen? You're never going to talk to her again. Figure out ways that you can still have that relationship and support the person. The woman I'm working with, it took us 8 months for me to get in there. Because every time we set up an appointment, she had a reason to cancel. And then it was, I had to call her, and she would give me excuses that I couldn't come. Now I don't even have to call. I knock on the door, and she's like, Maggie? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. And so it takes a while. And if I were in there judging, I tell you, there's things I could judge, but there's no point in it. So I go in and I say, so this one looks like it might be really bad. Do you want to keep it? And she'll throw things away. I picked up a can that, how it was a full can at one point, but I picked it up and it was all rusty, but you could tell it wasn't full anymore. And I kind of said, this is weird. Look, feel that. And she's like, yeah, that's weird. I go, I don't think it's got anything in it anymore. It may have just been, and she's like, oh yeah, you can throw that out. Now, it's going to take a while to touch every single item and do that, but that's what it would take eventually. But what it takes is for her to understand why she's doing this and learn why she feels the need to keep so much food around beyond her rational. She's got a good rational story for why she has it. She doesn't drive anymore, and it's convenient. When she goes to the store, she gets a bunch, and she goes to the dollar store. So, you can get a bunch. And so she's got rationalization for it, but it just may not make as much sense to us. So here's about harm reduction, a little bit about what it means and what you have to think about. There's another blank pic. Oh, darn, that means none of the pictures are going to come up. Well, that is the hallway. You see that?
Oh my God. She's a snow hoarder.
And this is the hallway after we.
Wow.
So what I had here was some pictures of a person who I would say was just cluttering because he physically couldn't deal with it, and we went in and helped him. Then I have another one with a bunch of pictures of a woman who probably always hoarded to some extent, but because of her dementia, it got much worse. And I was going to show you some of the examples of the definitions of the hoarding. But if you want to see stuff like this, you can come to the conference. I put the brochures up over there. It's March 8th. We're having a speaker, Robin Zazio, who's a doctor who's been on hoarders. She's written books about it. She's going to come from Sacramento. And then we have two people from the Mental Health Association in San Francisco who they've worked real hard to put together a local task force and peer support groups. The goal with this is to have the conference create a hoarding task force locally so we can start dealing with this in an organized fashion, and then create some self-help groups for people who hoard, but also for family members, separate groups, so that we can help people with the issue. So if you're interested in that or have any questions, feel free to talk to me, but the brochure's are over there, and I'm sorry the pictures didn't show up, but that's why I brought this.
And if you would like, I can email the PowerPoint from a computer that the PowerPoint likes.
Or I can also.
I will also, when I do the video of this, if I can make it work, I'll put the original slides up.
Okay. Yeah, then you can just do all the pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, everybody.
All right, I apologize, started late, gonna end late, but raffle. Raffle, yes. So, while the raffle is being drawn, next week is an awesome meeting. I'm not gonna tell you about it because we don't have time, but you all should show up next week. So, would you like to read it? If you'd like.
6945801.
5801. $5. And you can pick the next one. Maybe you'll win again. $694-5821. 5821. Julia, lock on with $50.